In 1776, no serious observer would have predicted that a group of rebellious colonies on the edge of the Atlantic would one day dominate the world. America had no empire, no global army, no centuries-old institutions, and no shared national identity. It was poor, divided, and facing the most powerful empire of the age, Great Britain. And yet, within less than 200 years, the United States would emerge as the most influential superpower in human history. This transformation was not inevitable. It was the result of geography, ideology, war, innovation, and relentless ambition. This is the story of how America rose from uncertainty to supremacy. America's journey begins not with strength, but with ideas. The American Revolution was not just a war for independence, it was a radical experiment. The colonies rejected monarchy, aristocracy, and inherited power in favor of representation and self-rule. When independence was declared, the new nation faced immediate chaos. There was no unified government, no reliable currency, and no standing army. Early America nearly collapsed under its own weight. The Articles of Confederation proved too weak, leaving the nation vulnerable to internal rebellion and economic instability. The turning point came with the U.S. Constitution. Unlike most governments of the time, it created a system designed for long-term stability, separation of powers, checks and balances, and a rule-based political structure. This stability encouraged investment, trust, and unity. While revolutions in Europe repeatedly collapsed into dictatorship or chaos, the American system endured. Stability became the foundation on which power could grow. Geography played an equally decisive role. The United States was shielded by two vast oceans, protecting it from foreign invasion. To the north and south were weaker neighbors, not hostile superpowers. Internally, America possessed enormous natural advantages: fertile land, navigable rivers, vast forests, coal, oil, and minerals. These resources allowed the nation to grow without relying heavily on foreign powers. While European nations fought endless wars over limited land, America expanded westward, absorbing resources on a continental scale. This westward expansion was brutal and often unjust, particularly for Native American populations, but it dramatically increased America's wealth and capacity. By the early 19th century, the United States was no longer just a former colony, it was a rising continental power. The 19th century transformed America economically. The Industrial Revolution turned a largely agricultural society into a manufacturing powerhouse. Railroads connected the nation from coast to coast, creating a unified internal market unlike anything Europe could match. Immigrants poured in by the millions, providing labor, innovation, and population growth. America didn't just produce goods, it produced opportunity, attracting talent from across the world. The Civil War threatened to destroy everything. It was the bloodiest conflict in American history, and the nation nearly fractured permanently. But the Union's victory preserved national unity and accelerated industrialization. The war forced mass production, advanced logistics, and centralized authority. After the war, America emerged more unified, more industrialized, and more powerful than before. By the late 19th century, the United States had surpassed most European nations in steel production, oil output, and manufacturing capacity. Yet it still avoided global entanglements. America was powerful, but not yet dominant. That changed with the 20th century, and with war. World War I marked America's arrival on the global stage. While Europe bled itself dry, the United States supplied weapons, food, and loans. When America finally entered the war, its fresh troops and industrial strength tipped the balance. But after victory, the U.S. retreated again into isolation, unwilling to take responsibility for global leadership. World War II erased that hesitation forever. The war devastated Europe and Asia, destroying cities, industries, and populations. America, protected by oceans, suffered no such destruction. Instead, its factories became the arsenal of democracy. Tanks, planes, ships, and weapons flowed from American production lines at unprecedented scale. By the war's end, the United States possessed over half of the world's industrial output. More importantly, America emerged with something no other nation had ever achieved simultaneously: the strongest economy, the most powerful military, and unmatched global influence. The US dollar became the backbone of the global financial system. American institutions shaped international rules. The United States didn't just win the war, it redesigned the world. The Cold War that followed was not a traditional conflict. It was a competition of systems. Capitalism versus communism. Democracy versus authoritarianism. Instead of conquering territory, the United States expanded influence through alliances, culture, technology, and economics. NATO extended American military power across Europe. Hollywood exported American values worldwide. Corporations spread U.S. economic dominance without formal empire. The Soviet Union, despite its military strength, struggled to compete economically. Central planning could not match America's innovation and productivity. By 1991, the Soviet system collapsed. The Cold War ended not with a final battle, but with economic exhaustion. America stood alone as the world's sole superpower. The post-Cold War era marked the height of American dominance. The U.S. military operated globally with unmatched reach. Silicon Valley revolutionized communication, commerce, and culture. The Internet, largely shaped by American companies, connected the world under systems built in the United States. Wall Street became the financial heart of the global economy. American culture became global culture. Music, movies, brands, and technology crossed borders faster than armies ever could. Power was no longer just about territory, it was about influence. And America mastered it. Yet dominance brought new challenges. Endless wars in the Middle East drained resources and public trust. Economic inequality grew. Political polarization intensified. Meanwhile, new rivals emerged. China's rapid rise challenged American economic supremacy. Technology spread power more widely, reducing America's monopoly on innovation. For the first time since World War II, America faced serious questions about its future role. Could it maintain leadership without endless conflict? Could it adapt to a multipolar world? Could it preserve unity at home while projecting strength abroad? History offers no guarantees. Every superpower before America eventually declined. Spain, Britain, Rome, all believed their dominance would last forever. Power is not permanent. It must be managed, renewed, and restrained. America's superpower journey was never destined. It was shaped by decisions, accidents, wars, and opportunities seized at the right moment. Geography gave it safety. Ideas gave it stability. Industry gave it strength. War gave it dominance. What happens next depends not on history, but on choices still being made. The rise of America is one of the most extraordinary transformations the world has ever seen. Whether it remains at the top, or becomes another chapter in history's long cycle of rise and fall, remains an open question.